Hello learners, welcome to grade 11 Physical Sciences, paper 1, chapter 1, vectors in 2 dimensions, lesson number 2. Concurrent co-planar forces. Sometimes we are given various forces acting at a certain point together. As you can see from the diagram, we are given 4 forces acting from the origin: force 1, force 2, force 3 and force 4. And the goal is to determine the resultant force of those forces. Steps to determine the resultant of coplanar forces. Step number 1. On a Cartesian plane, draw and resolve all the constituent forces into their components Fy and Fx. Step number 2. Determine the resultant of all vertical components of all forces by simply adding them together. Note that all forces pointing north are positive and all forces pointing south are negative on the Cartesian plane. Step number 3. Determine the resultant of all horizontal components of all forces by simply adding them together. Note that all forces pointing east are positive and all forces pointing west are negative on the Cartesian plane. Step number 4. Sketch a new Cartesian plane and draw the resultants Fy and Fx from steps 2 and 3. Note that if the resultant Fy from step 2 is negative, make sure you draw it pointing south. On the new Cartesian plane, do the same for Fx. If it's negative, it must point west. Step number 5. Use the Pythagoras theorem to determine the resultant of Fy and Fx from step 4. Use the tail-to-head method to determine the direction of the resultant force. Detailed explanation: finding the resultant force of coplanar forces F1, F2, F3 and F4. So the goal here is to resolve each constituent forces into its components Fy and Fx. So for F1, the vertical component Fy1 is equals to F1 sine theta 1, and the horizontal component F1 cos theta 1, where theta 1 is the angle between F1 and the horizontal axis. For F2, the vertical component Fy2 is F2 sine theta 2. The horizontal component Fx2 is F2 cos theta 2, where theta 2 is the angle between F2 and the horizontal axis. So you would repeat this process for F3, F4. Then, finally, for the resultant force, you use the Pythagoras theorem that states that the resultant force squared is equals to the resultant force of vertical components squared plus the resultant force of horizontal components squared, where the resultant force of all the vertical component forces is Fy1 plus Fy2 plus Fy3 plus Fy4, and the resultant force for all the horizontal components is Fx1 plus Fx2 plus Fx3 plus Fx4.